Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico. Tonight is episode 9. Very excited about this one. We're going to talk about Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, and the 1954-55 Santurce team. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Finally, after a long hiatus to Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico, I am Adam Dorowski. I am the Director of Design and Product Management at Sports Reference. We make baseball reference, so you may know that. And I am joined, as always, by my friend here, Jorge Colon Delgado. Hello, Jorge.
Hello, Adam. Very happy to be again in Negro Leagues in Puerto Rico. And we have prepared a good program, as you said, about one of the greatest teams in the history of Caribbean baseball, Santurce, 1954 and 1955.
Yes, so many great things to talk about with this team, like the unbelievable lineup that they had, the unbelievable success that they had, winning the 1955 Caribbean Series, which I think is one of the most fascinating, multi-country baseball competitions of the pre-integration era and post-integration era. So I'm really excited to dig in here. Tell me, what have you been up to? It's been a while since we talked.
Well, researching, working in the league. I was involved in the horse racing Hall of Fame last Sunday. You know that I do both baseball and horse racing. So we had the induction last Sunday, and but this, the death of Willie Mays, you begin to read a lot, and you begin to remember the things that he did in Puerto Rico. I got the chance to interview him in 2006 for the book of Pedrín Zorrilla, the biography of Pedrín Zorrilla, and I talked with him about an hour. I was very nervous, but he was, he was very great with me, and that was in 2006. And that team of Santurce, when you talked to me, let's do a program about Santurce with Willie Mays, about Puerto Rico. People are going to know what happened with Willie Mays in Puerto Rico. And that's another thing about the baseball in our island, all those stars that came to Puerto Rico, because the year before, Hank Aaron came to Puerto Rico with Caguas. So we had Hank Aaron, and Hank Aaron, his daughter, sibling, was born in Caguas, and Hank Aaron was made right field in Caguas because he came as a second baseman. And then the next year comes Willie Mays with Pedrín Zorrilla. So we're going to talk about that and all the things that happened in 1954, 55 in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I can share that the reason why I reached out to you, it had been a while since we've done an episode, but I think it was during the Rickwood game that I emailed you and said, we have to do another episode. Yes. And the reason why is not only was it about Willie Mays, but we were hearing from Bill Greason, Reverend Bill Greason, who, has been, getting a lot of attention lately because of, he's a 99-year-old former player in the Negro Leagues who played with Willie Mays, and he's so well-spoken and tells so many great stories. He was also the ace of the staff of the Santurce team in the Caribbean Series. So that's what made the connection. I was like, we've got to talk about this team. There's so many.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a good connection. Well, with Bill Greason, he came to Puerto Rico with Mayagüez and Santurce. And we're going to see in the presentation that he took good care of Willie Mays in Puerto Rico. His wife, Cook, Willie Mays, cooking, and they were with the Birmingham Black Barons. They worked together; they were teammates. So there's a lot of ties between the Greason, Mays, and Santurce and Puerto Rico. So let's begin with.
Yeah, let's do it. So Santurce, 1954-55. They are the Crabbers. Can you pronounce the name in Spanish for me here? The
Cangrejeros.
Cangrejeros, perfect. All right. So they won the championship of the Puerto Rican League and the Caribbean Series back in 50-51. They finished third in 51-52, and then they won the championship and Caribbean Series again in 52 and 53. Then they were in last place, actually, in 53-54. So one thing I guess that's worth noting is that, because there were so many players coming over from the continental United States, there was a lot more roster turnover of like the big stars from a year-to-year basis. So there were some players that were there every year, but there were some big stars that would come in and out. So that's why you see some of the differences in their finishes. So Pedro Zorrilla, who is I guess he would be the president of the club.
He was the owner and president of the club.
Owner and president of the club. He wanted to win another championship, and boy, did he put his mind to it here.
You know that Pedrin Zorrilla, I think we should do a program about him because he helped a lot of Negro leaguers, and he was very connected with all those Negro leaguers. And I think we should do in the future a program about Pedrin Zorrilla.
So he began rebuilding the team with a trip in midsummer 1954 to New York to talk with his friend and owner of the New York Giants, Horace Stoneham. So we're going to see definitely a New York Giants flavor to this team that goes beyond Willie Mays. So he'd already talked to Willie Mays, who had become friends with since his playing days in Minneapolis. So Stoneham gave permission to Zorrilla and to Willie to strike a deal, and they agreed to a contract of $1,000 a month. And Zorrilla also signed Coach Herman Franks, Giants coach Herman Franks, as the manager of Santurce.
Yes, last week I was talking with Enrique Zorrilla, who is the son of Pedrin Zorrilla, and Enrique went to Willie Mays' house, and they were friends. And Willie told Enrique, I went to Puerto Rico because your father was my friend, and I wanted to help the team. That's the only reason I went to Puerto Rico. It was not for the money. It was because the friendship that I had with your father, Pedrin. So don't believe any other story. That's the truth.
That's great to hear because you said similar things about Josh Gibson's relationship with Zorrilla as well. And if you think about like how that contrasts with like how they recruited players to Trujillo's team in the Dominican Republic, or how players were recruited to the Mexican League in the 1940s, it's very different. It seems like where they were, I don't know. I get the impression that in Puerto Rico, it was more of a friendly type of agreement where players came over, not only for the money, but also because they loved the experience.
Yes. And then Pedrin, I once talked with Emilio Navarro, the Negro leaguer, and he said he didn't play for Pedrin, but he said, I always wanted to play with Pedrin Zorrilla because he treated the ball players so well. That Pedrin Zorrilla once bought Whirlpool, and he installed it in the Cito Escobar Stadium, and he let players from other teams use it. And when once Willard Brown was sick and didn't report to Santurce, he traveled to see Willard Brown. So what's happening? Say, I'm sick. I don't have, for treatment, medical treatment. He said, come with me to Puerto Rico. And he brought Willard Brown to Puerto Rico, and he gave him medical attention. And that's why every ball player was crazy about Pedrin. And, thinking about Pedrin never fires a manager. Never. Since 1939, the first season, to 1955, 56. And he never, he was so paternal. And all these players were friends and like his family. And those players like Josh Gibson, Willard Brown, Bob Thurman, they came in the morning to his house in Santurce to take breakfast. And the house was always full of ball players from Santurce. So he treated them like his family, and you're gonna see some pictures, very interesting pictures of Willie Mays in the presentation with Pedrin Zorrilla.
Excellent.
Okay, so we come here.
Yeah, so here's Zorrilla signing Herman Franks as the manager of Santurce. Franks, of course, of the Giants. So besides Mays, Pedrin signed Billy Klaus at shortstop, George Crowe at first base, Artie Wilson at second, Bill Greason as pitcher, Sam Jones as pitcher, Hal Jeffcoat also as a pitcher, Pete Burnside as a pitcher, and Bob Thurman as a right fielder, who also would pitch on occasion at this point as well. I'll be honest, I didn't realize that Artie Wilson was on this team. The other names are ones that I saw, but I think I missed that Artie Wilson was there.
Yes, Artie Wilson was. That was a Pedrin contract Artie Wilson because he liked Artie. Artie, the best years of his career have passed away. He was in the winter of his life, and that it caused a little bit of trouble in the to the team because in the beginning, he's a shortstop. He contracted him he as a second baseman, and he didn't have range, the range that you remember. Artie Wilson has one of the best shortstops in the Negro Leagues. So Herman Franks wanted to get rid of him, and Pedrin didn't. He said, "No, I'm not going to leave Artie Wilson." And Pedrin and Herman Franks told Pedrin, "Go to my Chiquita, your beach house, one weekend, Friday. When you come back Monday, he's not going to be here." And Pedrin didn't go to the beach. But what happened is that Artie Wilson injured his pinky, fractured his pinky. So that's when they left Artie Wilson and brought Billy Gardner and then Ronnie Sanford, as you're going to explain later.
Yes. Yeah, and if people don't know Artie Wilson, he was an all-star, and I think it's 4 seasons in the Negro Leagues. He was the last major league player to hit 400 now, because he hit 400 in 1948, a few years after Ted Williams. And then he only briefly played with the New York Giants, but he had a 10-year minor league career in the PCL where he hit well over 300 as well. So,
and Artie Wilson was the manager of Mayagüez. He was shortstop and manager.
Oh.
Mayagüez when they won the championship in 1948-49. And he has over 121 hits in the season. He was a great player. So Pedrin saw him, and he thought that Artie Wilson could give him some of that magic that he had in Mayagüez, but he was too old.
All right. So there's Pedrin greeting Willie Mays when he arrived in Puerto Rico. What a great photo.
Yes, that was 6:47 a.m. Pan American for motors, for engines, and Willie Mays came to Puerto Rico. He slept all the way.
This is quite the artifact. Here's his contract with a salary of $1,000 a month. Is this something that is in the Hall of Fame there in Peru?
If it is that contract is in the Hall of Fame?
I'm just wondering if it's in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown or if it's in Puerto Rico. Or...
I saw it many years ago on the internet, and I
got it.
Yeah, but I don't. I think Enrique Zorrilla has one.
Oh wow!
Yes, and I think he has a sign.
Oh, very cool.
Cool. That's a treasure. So,
yeah, going back here again, I talked about that New York Giants connection here. Rubén Gómez was a star for the New York Giants in 1954. And he had just won the World Series with the Giants, and he was also a member of this staff. Just a tremendous pitcher. I love using Rubén Gómez in the Immaculate Grid when I get a good Giants pitcher, or Giants 10-game winner, or Giants born outside the continental U.S. I love playing with Rubén Gómez. Such a great player.
Yes, he played 29 years in Puerto Rico, but Rubén Gómez. Pedrin Zorrilla helped Rubén Gómez to play with the New York Giants. It was like a favor, because Pedrin has had good ties with Ora Stoneham, and he got Rubén Gómez for the New York Giants, and he was great with the Giants. As a matter of fact, in that third game of the World Series, he became the first Latino, Black Latino to start and win a World Series game. So people say in Puerto Rico, he was the first Puerto Rican in the World Series. No, he was the first Black Latino. It's above that.
That's amazing. And my favorite stat about him is if you combine his major, minor, and Latin American career, he won at least 354 games. Yes. And that's just from the ones that I could find from full season statistics. So just an unbelievable pitcher all year round.
All year round. And that was a great pitcher. And he and Juan Pizarro, that was a daily double of Santurce in those days.
That's right. Pizarro, how many? I just have to look now. Pizarro, I have 394 wins when you combine everything. So that's another great pitcher.
Yeah. That Juan Pizarro, the best pitcher in Puerto Rico. The award has his name since last year.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So here's Willie Mays at the governor's mansion. We've got Willie Mays. We've got the governor, Luis Munoz Marin. We have Rubén Gómez, we have Pedro Zaria, and Herman Franks.
You know that we have talked about Luis Munoz Marin. He was a great baseball fan, and all these players, he brought him to the governor's house, beginning with Jackie Robinson, that became friend of Luis Munoz Marin and visited him. I have about 3 times that he went to the Fortaleza, and Luis Munoz Marin received them, and Roy Campanella and Luis Olmo, all those players. And before the All-Star game in Puerto Rico, he invited both teams to a dinner. Do you remember the photo that we put about Willard Brown being kissed by a woman?
Oh, yes.
That was in La Fortaleza and an All-Star dinner.
I love it. All right. So these were the instructions that Herman Franks, the manager of Santurce, and Dick Say, the coach, gave Willie Mays before his first game with Santurce, which was on October 17th, 1954. In the Cangrejeros clubhouse, Franks and Say conversed with Mays. Franks suggested that he take a couple days off until he got into condition and has a courtesy appearance as a hitter or pinch runner. Mays replied, "I came here to play." Franks saw Mays determined to play and explained some details of the outfield. He had to watch over the valuable player. Did not want to break Stoneham's prized player there. You don't have as much space to field, unlike the polo grounds. So run immediately to the fence. Don't try to catch them by running backward. And Say added, on hits to right center, watch out for Thurman. He tends to get in the middle looking for a ball. I already told Clemente and Thurman to give you all the space when you ask for the ball, Franks concluded. So 2 things there. We haven't even touched on the fact that Clemente was on this team yet. And second thing is I've seen some photos of Bob Thurman, and that is not a guy I want to run into.
Yeah, he was very like an ox. Yeah, he was very strong, and what a player. You know that Bob Thurman, I think we talk about this, Bob Thurman was always in the shadow of Willard Brown. But if we could have his WAR, I think Bob Thurman will be higher.
Well, he could also pitch a little bit. I love telling the story, ever since you told me, I love telling the story about how Thurman is the all-time home run leader in Puerto Rico, and Jose Cruz finished just 1 behind him, and that you told Jose that was indeed the case, and he was unaware, and I'm surprised that he hasn't come out of retirement to try and get that yet.
Yes, I said. What Jose told me was, we didn't have people like you. If you will be the statistician in those that time, I know that you will tell me to keep playing for that homer. But it's sad, only 1 home run, but that's what it is, But Jose Cruz is one of the greatest, and he is recognized. As a matter of fact, MVP award is named after him since last year, so that's a great recognition.
Absolutely, yeah.
There you got it.
Oh, what a beautiful photo. This is Mays getting his first hit in his third at bat against, I don't know this name here, Arnie Portocarrero
Uh-huh.
on October 17th, 1954.
Sixto Escobar Stadium. It was against San Juan. So we were talking about how Pedrin was the relation that Pedrin had with both players. Look at this picture.
Oh, this is lovely. Yeah, this is Mays, Franks, Rubén Gómez, and Pedrin Zerrilla.
They were roasting a pig at, that was it, like we call in the country, campo. And they told me that Willie Mays was crazy about rice and beans and pig. He roasted pig. They like it a lot. Look at this one. That's in my Chiquita. That's in the beach.
Oh, lovely.
He look how comfortable Willie Mays looks with his leg over the chair, the armchair.
Mm-hmm.
This one here, this is Buster Clarkson.
Oh,
yes.
Which one is Buster? Is he the one seated on the left there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I love Buster Clarkson.
Yeah, I know.
If you haven't checked out our Buster Clarkson episode, you should check that one out. That's the last one that we did.
Besides, at the right at Buster Clarkson is Frank Forbes. So he was a New York Giants scout.
Oh, excellent. And here he is, Bill Greason, and his wife also took good care of Willie. What a smile. Look at that. I love it.
Yes.
And here's a couple names that you may know as well. The acquisitions of Ronnie Samford from the Cubs, I believe, and Don Zimmer changed the team for the better. So Don Zimmer was he the player manager in the Caribbean series, or he was not? No,
he began the season with Mayagüez, and Mayagüez let him, release him. He went to the States, and Pedrin immediately called him.
Mm-hmm.
I need a shortstop because Pedrin lost Billy Gardner from the New York Giants, and then Zimmer got to play shortstop, and Ronnie Sanford came for Artiwilson. I think the team when Ronnie Sanford and Don Zimmer began to play together, the team, began to win and win and win and win.
Yeah, and with Zimmer, I mean, I only, of course, remember Zimmer as an older coach, mm-hmm. and I knew that he played, but I didn't really have a great feeling for like what his career was like. But 1955, the season right after this, he was only 24 years old, and with Brooklyn, he hit 15 home runs as a middle infielder, and those 15 home runs were in 88 games. So this is
wow.
He had a little bit of pop there, and that was coming off the heels of course his great performance in the Caribbean series, which we'll get to, where he hit 3 home runs in that series.
That was not usual in those times to hit someone a shortstop hitting so much homers.
I know, he was only hitting 239 as well, so it's like he was ahead of his time. He looks like a modern day player with those stats.
Yep.
And he was an all-star in 1961. Didn't even realize that.
Yes, and a great manager. He later managed San Juan.
Oh, 60s. Did he?
Yeah, he came with as a manager of San Juan Senadores.
So on November 22nd, Roberto Clemente was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And in a letter from Branch Rickey, he told Clemente to practice 2 things. He opened up running the bases and took more than 1 step to throw the ball.
How about that, huh? Clemente, he was very young. That season that he played with Willie Mays helped him a lot. And when he received that letter, Willie Mays began to practice with him every morning at 11 o'clock at Sixto Escobar Stadium. Herman Franks, Willie Mays, and Luis Rodriguez Olmo, who is known in the state as Luis Olmo, the Dodgers. And Willie knew that he was going to be good. And Roberto was so educated so polite, and they you know they had good relations since the beginning, and Willie helped him a lot. And he told me that when I interviewed him by phone. He said, I work with Clemente every morning. I wanted him to succeed. And you know that play that Clemente had made, that he comes running and scoops the ball and throws. That was Willie Mays who taught that, to top him. And he, with Roberto Clemente with that powerful arm. And I think about Clemente. If you see his physique, he has a physique of our center field. He's not big like Hank Aaron. But what happens is that he has such a powerful arm. You're not going to put it in the center field. And the Pittsburgh Pirates got Bill Bearden. That was a great center fielder. So you have center fielder Bill Bearden, and you have Roberto Clemente in the right field. And if you notice, the Roberto Clemente was not always the Clemente that we have in the mind. That big star in the first 5 years, he developed in the big leagues because he didn't play in the minors only 1 year. So he developed in the big leagues.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until recently, and the player that I compare him to now is Adrian Beltre, where in his 30s it seemed like he was at his best. Mm-hmm. In fact, when he tragically died, he was still very much, even though he was 38 years old, he was still or 37, I think. He was in the prime of his career. Like, he was still putting up great seasons.
Yeah,
and it's a unique shape. Yeah.
Yeah, Clemente. It took 5 years, and what helped Clemente was that he played with Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh was always the last place, so they can leave him there because they were not going to get further than last place, and they let Clemente develop. Mm-hmm. But I think about Clemente a lot. If the Dodgers kept Clemente would not have hit 3,000 hits.
Right. He would have been stuck behind a lot more players. He would not have gotten the opportunity. And you have to assume that his career would have ended at the same time as well.
So he had that, let's say, luck that the Pittsburgh Pirates drafted him. And they didn't protect Clemente, the Dodgers, because the next year it was Sandy Koufax, and they let Sandy Koufax in the big leagues. They didn't send him to the AAA. So they learned the lesson with Clemente. Mm-hmm. But Clemente, if he was they had Cal Furillo, Duke Snyder, Sandy Amoros, and Jackie Robinson was floating third base, left field. He would lose about 2 years, so he wouldn't get 3,000 hits. I thought about that. The life of Roberto Clemente was so perfect. 3,000 hits, and if he played with the Dodgers, he wouldn't get the 3,000 hits. And it took only 20 years to leave that legacy. Because, people leave legacy, but they live 30, 40, 50 years. This man only with 20 years, Clemente. And he's known, I think, and not because Roberto Clemente is Puerto Rican, but I think that Clemente could be the most famous ball player in the world. Most known because the way he died. Mm-hmm. Not because the player, because you have Robinson, you have Babe Ruth, and you have a lot of other stars. But the way that he died makes him different to all the ball players, I think.
That's interesting. Yeah. And of course, so he was playing left field for this team, right? So he was a very young player still. And if you're keeping track at home, building up that roster in your head. So yes, left field is Roberto Clemente, center field is Willie Mays, and right field, the least well-known of the three, happens to be the all-time home run leader in the entire history of the league. So this is like an incredible outfield. And just to go around the infield too, we talked about George Crowe, who was a great hitter as well in the Negro Leagues and the AL and NL. We have Samford at second. We have Don Zimmer at short. And then we have Buster Clarkson, who is also one of the very best hitters in the history of the league, as well as Mexico, and was a tremendous hitter in the Negro Leagues as well. And the catcher, how do you pronounce his name? Is it Chitley?
Harry Chiti.
Chiti, okay.
Chiti,
I think he was from the Cubs as well.
Yeah, he's from the Cubs. Yeah. And Valmy Thomas, I asked Valmy Thomas, Valmy, why Santurce signed Chiti? He said, I don't know. We didn't need him, but maybe it was some deal that Pedrin had with Chicago Cubs or something. But Valmy Thomas was a better ball player than Chiti. Better in the big leagues and in Puerto Rico, he was better. But after that, Valmy Thomas was the regular catcher of Santurce. But there's so many stories about that team of Santurce that we're going to see today. And Clemente, I would like to do a special edition of Clemente with you once.
Oh, yeah. I am ready to do that.
Okay, that's what I tell you that Mays or Rodriguez Olmo and Hyman France began to practice Clemente at 60 scorers there every morning to help correct those defensive issues. Now, look this.
Yeah, so here on the right, Luis Olmo, like this is a Dodgers 300 hitter who placed 17th in the MVP voting one year, led the National League in triples, and this is the guy that's the fourth outfielder who could not, crack this lineup. So, when Olmo substituted Bob Thurman in right field, the three outfielders all played with a basket style. That's wild. Must have been very entertaining to see.
You imagine every ball to the outfielder was going to be catch basket. No other team has had three outfielders basket catch. And I want to say that Roberto Clemente learned to play to catch the ball like that since he was a kid. His brother told me that he began to throw the rubber ball against the wall in the room, and he catch it here. So it's not true that Willie Mays taught Roberto Clemente to catch the ball basket. And Luis Rodriguez Olmo, who was the first outfielder to catch the ball, basket style, he copied a shortstop from Cincinnati. He didn't give me the name when I talked with him. He didn't remember the name. There was a shortstop in Cincinnati got the ball, catch the ball basket style, and Olmo copied that style. So, and we had after that we had Olmo, Clemente, Willie Mays, and then we had Jerry Morales, center field of Cubs. He catch the ball basket, but he didn't copy from Clemente. He learned that by himself too, since he was a little kid in the country. So there's a lot of time we haven't seen a basket catch from an outfielder with that style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of players playing with the same type of style these days. It seems it was a little different back then. So on December 8th, Mays batted for the cycle. That's do you know who that was against?
Nope. Nope, I don't remember, but it was at a 60 score stadium. That's for real.
Mm-hmm. And here's a photo of both of the 1954 MVPs. It's Mays with Berra, both, of course, with here in New York City.
Yes, one of the things that the contract, Pedrin had to pay him Willie $1,000 a month, and I think he had three trips to the United States. One to see the football team play a game of Army versus Navy, and the other one, I think, two more trips. And one of those was when they named him MVP. He traveled to New York City to get his award and returned to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, so just to set the timing here for people like wondering what stage of Mays' career this was. He had in 1953 is when he missed the full year because of military service, and then 1954 at age 23 he comes back and he plays really what's his first truly great year. I mean, he was a rookie of the year in 1951, so that was a great year as well. But 54 was MVP level. He won the batting title, hit 41 home runs, drove in 110. So it was his first Willie Mays type season.
Yeah, and he came here as a huge star. Well, he didn't. I don't think he came here to practice nothing. He came here to help Pedrin because he was a great star already.
Mm-hmm. And just to contrast, Roberto Clemente had not yet appeared in the National League, so he was still right before his major league debut.
Yes, because from Santurce, Clemente finished in February and came to Montreal, and spent. What I don't know is I haven't found if Clemente got to practice in Vero Beach with the Dodgers. I don't know if he practiced in Vero Beach and then they sent him to Montreal. And there's a story in this book, the book of La Maquinaria Perfecta, the perfect machine. They had Clemente. They signed Clemente with $10,000. He was a bonus baby, but they had a lot of Afro Americans in the team. Bossy Babasi wanted to keep him. There were others in the board of directors who wanted to let him to go down to Montreal. So they called Jackie Robinson to know his opinion. And when they explain Jackie Robinson, Jackie say, well, he's a good player. And who's going down for Clemente? And they said George Shuba. And Jackie Robinson says, if you send George Shuba down, the program of integration is going to go backward. And I have emails of Bossy Babasi telling me, for the book. And I think that Jackie Robinson wanted to prove that he can help Negro players and white players. Number one, that's one of my theories. Number two, George Shuba was the first friend of Jackie Robinson in Montreal. That's the handshake when he hits the homer. That's very famous, that picture. That was the first friend that Jackie Robinson had in the organized baseball. So maybe Jackie, thought in appreciation for his friend. Maybe. I don't know. Those are the two theories, but nothing against Roberto Clemente. Roberto Clemente, so many stories of Clemente and Jackie Robinson. That's how I always say that those are the two players that I admire most. Oh, yeah. Not because what they did in the ball field, the person. So we can talk here all night about Clemente and Jackie Robinson without mentioning a statistic.
Right.
But you can talk about any other player in your mind, and you have to talk about statistics. But with Jackie Robinson and Roberto Clemente, you can keep talking about the man. Mm-hmm. So we are here. Here we are.
December 54, Clemente is graduating from high school. So yes, he was I think it was 19 years old at the time. And so had the season started yet in December?
Yes, in October. He was playing and studying.
I love it.
He was playing and studying, and then he finished the high school. So that's when his father said, if the Dodgers don't give him, when they want to sign him, if the Dodgers don't give him the money that my son deserves, he's going to Mayagüez to study for engineering. His father knew that Clemente was good, and he didn't want $500 or $1,000. So he said, if you don't give me the money to the Dodgers, he's going to study engineering. So they gave him $10,000 a bonus and $4,000 salary.
So I believe this is the 54-55 regular season standings with Santurce on top at 47-25. And that's 5 games ahead of a Caguas team who looked really, really strong as well. Mm-hmm. San Juan at 38-34. And then we had Mayagüez and Ponce at the bottom there. In the final series, Santurce defeated Caguas 4-1. Or is this 4-1, or is this
4-1?
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if it was a single game here. So, so despite it being a 5-team league, they had a series between the top 2 teams. Then,
yes, Santurce waited for Caguas and San Juan. Caguas defeated San Juan and went with Santurce.
Got it.
And it was easy for Santurce. There you see Willie Mays hugging Pedrín Zorrilla, and you see a young Roberto Clemente.
Do you remember who was on that Caguas team that they beat that year?
It was Felix Mantilla, Vic Power, Charlie Neal. Those were the top. Roberto Vargas. It was a good team, but they didn't compare with Santurce. Santurce was too much.
And there's the celebration. Is that Sam Jones that I see in the front there?
Yes, sir. Sam Jones, and in the middle, Rubén Gómez, and that's the house of Pedrín Zorrilla. Pedrín Zorrilla doesn't know none of those people there. They came into his house to celebrate. So the only 3 there that were known was Rubén Gómez and Sam Jones. And you see that picture, and that was baseball in Puerto Rico. You know, to your house, the president of the team, and people go to your house to celebrate, and they go to your room, to your how you say the room, the when you walking,
the foyer or the entryway there.
They enter the room and they celebrate with Pedrín. Pedrín didn't know none of those guys there, those persons, but that was the baseball. That was the Puerto Rico that in those times.
Of all of the amazing players we just mentioned, that was the first time we mentioned Sam Jones, who we have to note, he was the MVP of the entire league that year and won the Triple Crown. And I just realized we only just mentioned him now. We mentioned the incredible lineup. We mentioned Bill Greason. We mentioned Rubén Gómez. We didn't even mention Sam Jones, who went 14-4 with a 1.77 ERA and 171 strikeouts. He led the league in all 3. Just an unbelievable season from him. And it just shows like how deep this team was, not only on the offensive side, but and defense and the pitching staff.
Yes, we're going to get to Sam Jones a little while. Look at this picture. This is the classic picture.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, I love this one. So left to right, we've got Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, Buster Clarkson, Bob Thurman. Just look at him. That's what I'm talking about. You don't want to run into that guy. George Crowe, too, is another big bat as well. Just unbelievable 5 bats to have in your lineup there.
And I want to bring back about Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente. You remember when Clemente got his 3,000 hit? It was against the Mets. When the game finished, Willie Mays came from the dugout, Mets dugout, and went to the Pittsburgh Pirates dugout and to congratulate Roberto Clemente. And there's pictures and videos where Roberto, when you see the face of Roberto, he appreciate what for Mays to come from the other dugout to come to congratulate him. So
it was a great season for Mays. He led the league in batting, hit .395 and slugged .774. His 7 triples led the league. He was second in runs scored, 63, doubles with 15, and he was 4th in stolen bases with 10. And how many games was the season? I'm trying to remember from the previous slide how many games we're talking about here. This was
60 games.
Yeah, so these are incredible numbers for a 60-game season there.
You know that here's Clemente.
Wow. He was also 4th in the league in batting at .344, and he led in hits with 94 and runs with 65. So he was scoring over a run a game, and that shows how strong this offense was. Thurman, again, 322. He was second in RBI with 60, so he's driving in a run per game. Third in home runs, he had 14. And he also took the mound for a couple of games, went 2-0 with a 1.38 ERA.
What a play.
He would pitch a little bit every season, it seemed like. Never a full-time starter in Puerto Rico, but he would, I think it was like a 36-32 record or something he had over the course of his career.
Yes.
Oh, Buster Clarkson. He was first in runs batted in, 61, second in homers, 15, and third in hits with 76, and his batting average was 317. Just unbelievable hitter as well, for an infielder as well.
Yes. He was a shortstop.
And he previously managed Santurce in the Caribbean Series, correct?
Yeah, he won the Caribbean Series in 1953, but he was originally a shortstop. So when he got heavy, they moved him to third baseman.
Right.
But he was a great player. He played in Puerto Rico with Mayagüez, Caguas, Once, and Santurce. 4 teams.
He was so good that he hit so well in the minor leagues for so long that they eventually did have to give him a call-up at age 37, which, that's pretty rare. You see that with like Buster Clarkson, Quincy Troop, maybe a couple others that were so good that even like after they really wanted to call up younger players, but they were just so good that they ended up getting the call-ups even in their late 30s. I think Quincy Troop is like 39.
Yes, Quincy Troop, that's another great ball player.
Played in Puerto Rico extensively, yeah.
And play here and manage Caguas to the championship.
So all of these amazing players we mentioned, all linked to Puerto Rico. It just shows how deep the league was and the history of the league. It's this is why I love learning about it from you. Yeah,
and with this program, people know more about what happened in Puerto Rico, and you like so much the history, and I love working with you because you enjoy so much your work, and to see a person like you interested in our baseball, and I know that you talk about about Puerto Rico in your meetings and with your friends and your gathering, and that's what Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico is all about. Promoting baseball, the history of Puerto Rico, the baseball history of Puerto Rico, and all the good things that happen here in our island. And we talk about a little while ago about Sam Jones. Here we got him. Look at that.
I think we might have just missed George Crowe as well.
Yes,
previous slide. So I don't want to miss him because he's another player who, I don't know. He reminds me a little bit of Clarkson and Thurman, where he was like caught in the middle of the integration era, where he was not as young, but ended up being so good that he eventually did get a call up, and he played in 100 games for the first time in the major leagues at age 34. And then 2 years later, he was hitting 30 home runs. So it's like, this is a guy who, you look at what he's doing at age 36 and you wonder what kind of career he could have had if he was given the chance the entire time. And, he started with the New York Black Yankees, and another 300 hitter with a dozen home runs on that team.
I have a nice story about George Crowe. Larry Lester got me his phone.
Oh,
yeah. I wrote to Larry Lester. Larry, I want to talk with George Crowe. It was 2006. He was very sick, but I talked with him a couple of times. He was, and one time I was with Luis Rodriguez Olmo, who was his friend, played together. They haven't talked in 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And I connected them. And Luis Olmo was so happy to talk with George Crowe. And George Crowe happy, too, to talk with his friend Olmo. And I remember the face of Luis Olmo, the happiness, talking with George Crowe. So special moments that that I have all these ball players.
It's amazing. Yeah, and Sam Jones, as we just talked about, he was simply unhittable. 14-4, 168 strikeouts, and 1.77 ERA for the Triple Crown and the MVP. Led the league with 7 shutouts, so half of his wins were by the shutout. He threw 3 one-hitters, back-to-back starts with 15 Ks. Just an unbelievable season from Jones.
And he was the first Negro leaguer to throw a no-hitter in the major league.
I think that's right. He was another one that pitched in the Negro Leagues as well, and ended up making it to the National League with the Cubs is when he got started. He was an all-star. I guess he got started with the Cleveland Indians at the time, but only pitched a little bit. But he was an all-star in 55 with the Cubs and eventually became a 20-game winner. He led the league in wins in 1959. Actually led the league in wins, an ERA in 1959, and also struck out 209. So he must have come pretty close to a Triple Crown in Puerto Rico and in the National League. That's remarkable.
Yeah, and but he died young, very young, 40 something. I think, right? I think he died very young. If you are a baseball reference.
Yeah, he was 45 years old.
40 something, yes.
Yeah, I'm checking now to see how close he came to that Triple Crown. He was about 25 strikeouts behind Don Drysdale, but other than that, he was very close. That's unbelievable. I never realized how close he was to a Triple Crown in the National League.
Great pitcher. This is another great one.
Oh, I love him. Rubén Gómez, 13-4. 280 ERA, 107 Ks. That 1-2 punch, and we didn't even add in Bill Greason yet, who was also a great pitcher for that team. And there he is, Bill Greason, 8-2, 45 Ks, and a 2.34 ERA. And he was in the Caribbean Series, he did have 2 wins. He was the only pitcher with 2 wins. I think it was 6 games that they played, so it's just about whose turn comes up in the rotation. But he won 2 games.
Yeah, he won 2 games. Sam Jones won and Rubén Gómez won. We're gonna see that later. This is a great picture too.
Minutes before boarding to Caracas, Greason, Mays, and Thurman. So Caracas. This is going to the Caribbean Series. Yep. So it was in Caracas that year. The inaugural ceremony.
There you see Greason, Thurman, and Buster Clarkson behind. I don't know if you see do you see the pointer here? No?
I don't see the pointer, no.
It's like you go to the left, that's Luis Olmo.
Yes.
Yes. In the middle with the eyes looking to the sky, that's Herman Franks.
Okay.
And besides him is Monchile Concepcion. And behind them, Bob Thurman, Bill Greason, and then Buster Clarkson.
Yeah, 33 there. Is that Buster? Or 23? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, 33, yes.
Man, he was a tank of a man. Look at that.
Yes. He was like, he was very, shoulders were very broad.
Mm-hmm. So after going hitless in his first 12 at-bats, Mays hit a walk-off home run against Venezuela to give Santurce its 3rd win of the series. And the same happens when he began with the New York Giants in 1951.
Yeah, he homered against Warren Spahn after 12-0. The same scenario, same thing.
Oh, so started off going 0 for 12. Oh, that's awesome. What a great photo. So Don Zimmer, the MVP, a spectacular series. He hit 3 home runs and won the MVP award. So yeah, I never thought of him as a power hitter, but like I said, looking back at his stats, he certainly was. And Greason was the best pitcher with 2 wins. Jones, Gomez, and Jorge Saki with 1 win each. So we haven't talked about Saki at all yet. What's his story?
No, he didn't pitch too much in the league. almost the three that you mentioned, Sam Jones, Rubén Gómez, and Bill Grissom. Those days, and those pictures pitch the 9 innings. It's not like today that they pitch 5 and then you have 3-4 relievers. You know that yesterday I saw Matt Doc Russo and he was talking about that the bunch of relievers that are coming that are throwing 100 miles an hour. It's very difficult now for the batters. You saw the program?
I didn't know.
Yeah, yesterday in MLB, he and Brian Kenny, I love them. They make a great couple. We're here. Okay. Here, you got this one right?
Yes.
And this is their whole team won this Caribbean Series.
Yeah, I love seeing this one. So the 3-time champions there, and of course we got Mays, Clemente, and Sam Jones at the top.
Yes, and Santurce was the first team in the Caribbean Series history to win 3 times the Caribbean Series. The first team.
Mm-hmm.
This is the standing.
Yeah, so Venezuela was second, Cuba 2 and 4, and then Panama 1 and 5. I'm trying to think of who might have been on that Venezuela team at the time. That might have been Luis Garcia, maybe with them, but I'm not sure.
Ramon Monsan was a pitcher of Venezuela. As a matter of fact, Ramon Monsan was the pitcher that Willie Mays hit his first hit. And he was a teammate of Willie Mays with the New York Giants. Okay.
Let's see. Oh, so here are the stats from the Caribbean Series. Yes. So in the home run column, we have Zimmer with 3. We have Mays with 2. Chiti had 1. Oh, Bill Grissom hit 1. That's impressive. So he had two wins, and he hit a home run and batted .333 in the series. So we got Thurman at .318. We got Clarkson at .313. Clemente down at .269. Crowe had a weaker series at the plate, but at the top there we see Willie Mays .440, Zimmer .385 with the 3 home runs.
Yep.
Now is CE runs batted in and CA is runs scored?
Yes.
Got it. You'd think I would have learned that by now from reading all kinds of books of Latin American stats, but I'm almost there.
You got it right.
Sometimes it's just about the context. Yep.
Yeah.
And Grissom, of course, 2-0 on the hill here. He pitched 2 complete games. Again, he hit that home run as well. Sam Jones, he was 1-0. Gomez was 1-0 as well. He made 2 appearances. Looks like they might have both been starts. Saki, it looks like he was in relief. So is JC, is that the game started?
JC, yes.
Game starter, okay. And then we've got...
No, that's James. G is James game started. GC is completed.
Oh, completed. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. We got Saki, we got Chelito, Lopez, and El Tigre Cabrera.
El Tigre Cabrera, that's another big star in Puerto Rico. Playing the Negro Leagues, we have to talk about him in the future.
Ooh. Yeah.
Those are the best leaders, the ones who led by category.
Yeah, so we've got the batting champion was Glenn Nelson from Cuba. Not a name that you typically associate with Cuba, but he was playing over there. Do you know which Cuban club that was that year?
I can get it to you.
I've actually got it right here. It was Almendares. And yeah, Carta Vieja from Panama. And Magallanes? Is that how you say the Venezuelan?
Magallanes.
All right. All right. Thank you to this book right here. Cuban Baseball is not only a great resource for Cuban baseball, but also Caribbean Series stats.
Let me see.
Oh, yeah, right here.
That's the one of Jorge Figueredo?
Yes. But I should say, if you want a book about the Caribbean Series, our friend Thomas Van Heining
is writing one.
Yes. I cannot wait to see that.
Looking forward. I think he's. We're gonna check the comments because I think he's seeing the show. So this is the All-Star team.
I love seeing these all-star teams as well. That's also in Figueiredo's book. So we can see that there were a lot of players from Santurce on the all-star team. We got GT as the catcher, and we see Glenn Nelson. He was the one that won the batting title, so he beat out George Crowe, obviously. Clarkson and Zimmer, though, on the other side of the infield. And then Mays. Mays is actually the only outfielder to make it.
Yeah.
And then Greason, Jones, and as the manager, Herman Franks.
Look at this one.
Oh wow! This is the fans waiting to meet them at the airport.
Isla Grande Airport.
So Louisa Walker went to the airport to receive her son Roberto. Willie Mays is on the right. Oh gosh, look at that. So here's Sam Jones, Ronnie Samford, and Don Zimmer at their arrival to San Juan from Caracas. Oh, look at that. Another great smile from Sam Jones there.
He enjoyed a lot. He was enjoying a lot.
How many years did he play in Puerto Rico? Was it just
3 years? He played with San Juan and with Santurce.
Mm-hmm.
And he was great. If you go to Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico, let's go there.
Oh yeah, his other season 13-5 with a 2.52 ERA with San Juan and 51-52. Holy moly, unbelievable.
Yeah, he was unhittable in Puerto Rico. This is the book that I wrote about that team in Spanish. I call it the Maquinaria Perfecta, the perfect machine. But there's in the left side, when Roberto Clemente won the World Series 1971, the Pittsburgh Pirates, a reporter asked him if this was the best team he had played, and he said no. Guerreros de Santurce when we won the Caribbean Series. So to Roberto Clemente say that, I think that that team of Santurce with a couple of more pitchers could go head to head with any team in the big leagues in that era, in the 50s, with two more pitchers.
Yeah, I think so too. You see that a lot with the Latin American teams because they didn't play every single day, so the pitching staffs weren't as deep. But if you add a couple more pitchers to those teams, and yeah, they can certainly compete right there. Because boy, do they have a good top three.
Yeah, and how about you have studied so much baseball in Latin America? This team of Santurce, when we mention the best teams in the Caribbean, what other teams comes to your mind?
Oh boy, so from Puerto Rico, I feel like this is the one that keeps coming to the top of the list. Although there's other Santurce teams that were also great, but none had this type of depth. Of course, the 37 Trujillo team in the Dominican Republic. That one was an interesting team because they were recruited with a suitcase full of money and possibly, were playing with, in front of armed soldiers with rifles at the ready. So it was a very different type of situation. But it was an incredible collection of talent, including, we had even Perucha Sapreda from the Puerto Rican Baseball Hall of Fame, who was on that team as well. It's hard to find stats for that team, but the roster, they had Gibson, they had Bell, they had Satchel Paige, they had so many wonderful players.
You don't need numbers for that team.
Yeah, it's. And then let's see, a couple more that I can think of. Like there were so many great teams in Cuba, but I think it's 23-24 Santa Clara team was absolutely unbelievable with Charleston, Alejandro Holmes, Santa Clara Leopardos, yes.
Yeah, that's Charleston and Oscar Charleston and Alejandro Holmes was there.
Dobie Moore, just a unbelievable squad as well. I also think the 41 Veracruz team out of Mexico is right up there too. Again, Gibson seems to be a popular, wherever he goes, it's one of the best teams. But they had Willie Wells, they had Ray Dandridge, and also some great players that were stars in Latin America more so than the Negro Leagues, like Ramon Bragana. He was a 30-game winner, not that year, but another year in Mexico. Agustin Bejarano, Lazaro Salazar is one of the great two-way players who was also a 14-time pennant winner as a manager. I love him. Barney Brown is another great one from the Negro Leagues who was pitching for that team as well.
So I think Barney.
What's
Barney
that?
Brown?
Barney Brown, yeah.
Oh, yes, he was great here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Times MVP.
Yeah, he pitched everywhere. He was really interesting. Even I think it's in the minor leagues as well. He was in Mexico. He was in Canada. He was in the U.S., Puerto Rico. I think he might have even pitched in Cuba as well. Just everywhere. Yeah, and I see Johnny Taylor. He's not the same one that was in. No, he's not. Okay, this is the New York Cubans, Johnny Taylor. Okay, but it's hard to pick like what's the best one of those. But if you'll notice, I picked one from each country essentially, so that might be the best way to do it.
Yes, we don't want to be unfair, but I was hearing you and thinking, if you remember that imaginary, not imaginary because they fought, but it was a computer first, Rocky Marciano against Muhammad Ali. Remember that? If they can do that, if they could do that with different teams, program, input the numbers, and make an imaginary series, I would love to see what will happen with all these teams in a tournament.
I like that. It's like a simulation of an all-time Caribbean series.
Yes.
But, Caribbean plus Mexico, yeah.
Yeah, plus Mexico. Now Mexico was not in the Caribbean series, but now it is. But right. I would love to have to those simulated games, but we cannot compare. We have to be fair. Each of those teams that you named, they were great. And Adam, I think we should see the comments. There's a lot of them. Tom Manhani was here. Mm-hmm. Another reason I was appreciate Pedrín Soria getting Rubén Gómez. Yes. Benito, salud, gracias por el gran trabajo. Clyde Surford was the scout assigned to Ricky to go follow Montreal. Yes. Similarity with Jackie Robinson. Greetings, Humberto. Thank you. Thank you all, my friends, to being with us. Humberto says, maybe done with the Stratomatic baseball game.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
Yeah. So, do you think we can include there San Juan 95? It's too modern, right?
Oh, San Juan 95 is a really modern. Good call too.
Yeah, yes, but it's too modern. It's it was another baseball. When right. when you have a shortstop is the champion bat, ninth batting, it mattered. That offensive was horrendous. No teams of those teams that we mentioned, maybe Trujillo, was so offensive like the San Juan 95, because even Santurce, if you take those five, the Murderers Row, Sanford, Chitty, and Valmy Thomas, there were no so big hitters like San Juan 95 or even Trujillo. That part of the offensive, it was not so strong. What do you think? You got frozen here. My friend got frozen. But we have to be fair with all those teams, different eras, and the eras. There's nothing we can do to measure the greatness of these teams against teams. So let me see if Adam comes back. Let's see. So we're starting. I was talking to Adam a little while ago. We're gonna make our next program. It's gonna be about Perucho and there you are.
Oh,
I was talking about no, okay. I was talking about comparing those teams. It is unfair. All of them are great teams. So, and I was beginning to talk about our next program is going to be about Perucho and Peruchin, or Perucho and Orlando Cepeda. That's the father and son combination, great combination. And it's going to be a special edition because they didn't play in the Negro Leagues. So that's why it's going to be a special edition. And I think, Adam, that maybe we can use this program when we're not going to talk about the Negro Leaguers, talk about, let's say, Roberto Clemente. That's a special edition because he didn't play in the Negro Leagues.
But he played with them, so I can see where this would be absolutely the right program to cover those types of topics. And of course, like the reason why we're talking about Willie Mays tonight is because he recently passed away at age 93, just a huge figure of the game. And then as soon as I heard the news about Orlando, who came shortly after, very, very sad as well. And it just made me think about like his legacy in playing in Puerto Rico, playing in the major leagues, but also his father's legacy, whereas a lot of people, he's like the great mystery of the game. Like maybe the best player from this side of the world who never played in the United States, which I guess he did play some exhibition games in the United States from what I hear, but never for a Negro League team.
No, he didn't go to the United States. He never played there. He received 3 invitations to go to the Negro Leagues: Vic Harris, Alejandro Pompez, and Clarence Palm. But he had a bad temperament. Mm-hmm. And he knew he could not deal with all those segregation rules. So he was in Puerto Rico. He played in Venezuela and he played in Dominican Republic. He didn't play in Cuba and neither Mexico. But that is going to be a great program because, as you say, yes, that in Peruchin was with the Trujillo Star, Los Dragones de Trujillo. Perucho Cepeda is a player, as you say, he's under the radar. Nobody knows him so much because he didn't play in the States and he didn't play in Cuba. But I know you're going to bring a lot of numbers of him in the Caribbean. I'm going to bring the numbers of him in Puerto Rico. And for an example, to give you a tease, between Orlando Cepeda and Perucho Cepeda, they won in Puerto Rico. They led in offensive categories 21 times. So that tells you a little bit of how great Perucho, Pedro Cepeda, and Orlando Peruchin Cepeda were. So I'm looking forward for that program. And I want to thank you, Adam, for being with me again, and thank all the people that were connected today. We had a lot of likes, 21 likes today. That's good. So people like the program. So Adam, take it on.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. And we look forward to chatting with you next time about the Cepedas.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Let me see here. Well, I'm going to end it. Let's say, see you next month, Adam, and all our friends of Negro Leaguers in Puerto Rico.